This is a movie review for Uncommon Valor, directed by Ted Kotcheff, starring Gene Hackman and a young Patrick Swayze. And the guy on the poster, he's in Randall, Cobb, and Fred Ward. A lot of good actors in it. Um, so this is a movie about POWs in Vietnam. Um, about his son, Gene Hackman's son. 10 years after his son went MIA in Vietnam, U.S. Marine retired Colonel Jason Rhodes assembles a private rescue team to find Americans held in POW camps in Laos. So, um, and he's also they're also trying to rescue this other guy's son, um, who's also lost there. So this is a pretty good movie. I didn't think it was amazing. Um, I think I think the last half of it's really good, and the first half is kind of a little slow. It's a little boring, to be honest. This is the same director as First Blood. I think First Blood's a much better movie. Um, but it's still a good movie. You know, he's a good director. I just think the first half is a little slow, a little boring. The second half's really good. So the first half, Gene Hackman is basically really pissed because he's been trying to get like senators and congressmen and anyone that will listen to go and get his son. And he's even tracking down where he thinks his son's being held. Um, and no one's really listening. They're like, well, we're negotiating. You know, I don't know if he threatens that he's going to go there and do it himself. But they kind of suspect that because he's ex-military too. He's like a war vet, so just like his son. Um, and he's like, and I agree with him. It's like been over 10 years. Like, give me a break. Like by the time you do anything, he'll be dead. Like they'll all be dead. And it is terrible what happened in Vietnam. It's a terrible war. Um, Especially the American. It's like it's just a terrible war. Our veterans, the way they were treated, a lot of them when they came back from war, just wrong. I mean, even if you don't agree with the war, it's not the veterans' fault, you know. A lot of these guys, came back with PTSD. They weren't treated great. Um, I think some of them became homeless, and anyways, that's more what First Blood's about. But this is about POWs in Vietnam, and this guy in the beginning of the movie, he almost makes it onto the chopper, his son, and he's with these other guys that later Gene Hackman gets to go back. Um, and But I think he doesn't make it on because he's like helping another guy to get on. So he's like a really good guy. Like um, he was like a team leader. He always was looking out for his other soldier. You know, so really good guy. They leave because they have to because they're all about to get killed too. And and then and then I think it jumps like 10 years, and Gene Hackman is trying to get this. He does try to talk to the authorities. Nothing's really happening. So he starts assembling his team. It's basically funded by this other guy who who's not in the movie that much, but he's like a big executive. He has tons of money. Um, and he said, and his son is also in was lost in Vietnam. He may have been in the same platoon, I think, as or whatever as them. So they're like they'll probably be in the same place together. So he has a pretty good idea where he is because he's also in contact with people in Laos and Vietnam, and he's paying them money to get to identify him and I think get his signature. So maybe they're like guards or they trade with the post that he's in, and so he's pretty sure where he knows where he is. He is getting the team together. Um, yeah, Robert Stack. Oh, wasn't that guy in like? That guy's been in a bunch of stuff. Okay. Wasn't he like in Unsolved Mysteries or something? Um, but so yeah, he's gathering together Fred Ward, Randall Tex Cobb. It's kind of like the wild man of the bunch. He's in jail when he contacts him, and he actually wants to go because some of them don't want to go. Which can you really blame them? Um, I think it's like Fred Ward. He doesn't even want to talk to him, and his wife is, and he like I think makes like art with his wife, and she's like, he spent the last 10 years like getting that war out of his head, and you want to bring it back. And there's some really good scenes there. Fred Ward's great in it. Patrick Swayze, a young Patrick Swayze um, who wasn't in their group and has not had any combat experience, but is a good soldier. Is a good soldier, and I think he got kicked out of the military because he punched a guy that was asleep on his watch. Um, so I think he got kicked out for that though. But so I'll get into spoilers now. So he's gathering them up. Uh, Red Brown. Who's like an explosive expert, and they all kind of have their expertise. I think Fred Ward is like really good at stealth, like close combat, hand to hand combat. Um, so, anyways, they gather him up. I think they go to southern Texas, and they train there. He has like a replica made of the camp that they need to infiltrate and go into. They have their weapons. Um, and they do that for a while. And this is the first half of the movie where I don't know. I'm kind of like, okay, you could cut some of this, like but I get it. They're trying to build teamwork and camaraderie, and there's some funny things going on, but I'm just kind of like, okay, let's get to this. And Harold Sylvester, who what is he in? Some of these actors like are been in a bunch of stuff. Okay, he's in Inner Space, An Officer and a Gentleman. I don't know. He's in something else that I've seen. He's a good actor. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. But so yeah, so they go there, and I think they go to Laos because it's in Laos. But they were in Vietnam, or I don't know, because like they actually went into the borders of Laos too in Vietnam, and yeah. But so they get there. He's trying to finalize to make 100% sure that this is where they are. He does that, and earlier, Robert Stack gets contacted by, I think it's the CIA and some other, and I think a senator, and they're like, "Look, we know what you're doing. Don't do this. Like we're negotiating. This will mess up all the negotiations." And he doesn't care because he's like, "I want my son out of there." And it's been over 10 years, and it's understandable. And then they threaten. They're like, "We're going to investigate your company. We're going to do all these things." He doesn't care. They're taking pictures of Gene Hackman going around recruiting these guys. And when they're in, I think, Laos, they get raided by the local police, and there's a CIA guy there, and they take all their equipment. And I don't know if they take their helicopter. No, I don't think so. I think they're going to steal the helicopter, a couple helicopters from the base. Um, so they don't know what to do. But earlier, Robert Stack gave each of them thousands of dollars because just as like a thank you for doing this. Because I mean, they weren't even going to get paid. I think. Um, so they all take that money and they buy weapons locally, and it's like they have to buy kind of cheap knockoff guns and guns that are old and explosives that are old, and this comes important later, and they're not as well equipped as they would have been if it wasn't for basically the CIA confiscating all their stuff under the guise of using the local police. But um so they go there, and they have a local guy who's helping them, and he has two daughters who are with them, and unfortunately one of them gets killed, and then they get to the base, and they planned it all out. They planned explosives. They they infiltrate with Fred Ward and the explosives guy, and they set it off, and things don't go, and then Gene Hackman, because he's a pilot, I think too, and a couple of them are pilots, and Gene Hackman, and they go and they take a couple local helicopters from a base that's right nearby, and they use those to get everyone out. So in the end, some of the explosives don't go off because they're like old, and that's kind of like that they had their good stuff confiscated. Um, and So in the end, some of them end up dying. Randall Tex Cobb does. Um, and the explosives guy does too. His death's pretty epic. Like the end's really good. Like great explosions, great practical effects. The death of the guy, that the explosives guy, I thought was like really intense. Um, and that's where the movie, I think, really takes off and is really good. It's like the last half. So, but definitely recommend it. It's a good war movie. It's about an important thing. These POWs. Some of them, like he says, that they can't even speak English anymore. Some of them don't even want to leave because they're so terrified. But unfortunately, Gene Hackman's son died earlier. He, they said he died like, um, I think saving someone else's life. And then I think the guards beat him up and he died. He got sick. So it's sad. He doesn't get his son back. But Robert Stack gets his son back. They rescue him and they rescue like three other guys, I think. So it's bittersweet. But but yeah, it's a good movie. Roger Ebert gave it 2 stars. I'd probably give it higher than that. What is that out of 5? So he says the basic idea of uncommon valor is so interesting that all they can do is make a routine formula movie out of it. But they do. The idea. A career colonel suspects his son is still being held a prisoner of war in Laos and organizes a team of his son's old army buddies to go in and bring him in out alive. Oh, the story resembles the real life adventures of Colonel Bo Gritz and has overtones from the scenes in The Deer Hunter when Robert De Niro returns to Vietnam to find Christopher Walken. Yeah, that's true. It has real potential for combining action with emotion. Yeah, that's probably true, but I'd give it higher than 2 stars. I don't know what I would do, but definitely higher than that. But I think he's kind of right though. I mean, Deer Hunter I think is a better movie. But they are different because well, do they rescue them? I don't know. It's been a while since I saw the Deer Hunter. Um, yeah, it says first-rate talent was assembled. Yeah, how much? What did he give First Blood? 3, 3, wait, 3 out of 5, or is it out of 4? I don't know. I definitely give that higher too. And he likes Gene Hackman. The movie rips off The Dirty Dozen and countless lesser movies. Yeah, yeah, I could see what he's saying there. Dirty Dozen's a great movie. Kind of assembling the team, and then they go into enemy territory. But they're not rescuing people. They're going into, I think, like blow up. Are they blowing up a bridge, or they're blowing? I think they're blowing up like a VIP party kind of. All of this proceeds with lead-footed predictability. There is an early attempt at intrigue when we see mysterious CIA types spying on the training sessions, but then they're told off by Texas millionaire who's financing the mission, and that's that. Well, no, they also take their weapons in Laos, which totally messes up the mission. And gets people killed. Some of the veterans killed. So I don't know. Oh wait a minute. Is Patrick Swayze? He's the brother of one of the guys that they're rescuing. The old veterans are joined in training, for example, by an untried kid. What's he doing there? Would you believe he's the kid brother of one of the missing POWs? I would, in fact. I believed it minutes before Hackman revealed it. So I liked it more than him, but I mean, I do understand what he's saying. Um, but yeah, I think it's a pretty good movie. It's not amazing. First Blood's better. Um, Deer Hunter, yeah, it's similar. I think that's better. Much longer though. Deer Hunter's like over 3 hours long. This is like 2 hours or 155 or something. But it's cool to see Gene Hackman in a role where he's like, kind of like an action role, because he doesn't really do that much, really. I mean, except for being a police officer in French Connection, but that I can remember, anyways. But he's really good in it. Great, really good acting. Fred Ward, R.I.P. Really good actor. But I think that's about it. Good movie, not amazing, but yeah, check it out. Like, comment, subscribe, and that's about it.